Dear ladies and gentlemen, in the following I would like to give you an idea about vanished civilizations not known by the orthodox sciences. Since almost 2,400 years, a story goes around, the legend of Atlantis. Many people may say this is just mythology, having no real meaning behind it. But luckily enough, there exists already a new branch of archaeology named geomythology, which assumes that all these worldwide legends about vanished, highly developed civilizations are to be taken cum grano salis, containing grains of truth. Thus, let us look a little deeper into the reports about Atlantis and similar miracles of the past. The first question which arises is, why don't we find any traces of Atlantis if it supposedly disappeared only around 12,000 years ago? But don't we have solid proof of forgotten epochs in the form of megalithic ruins? And where do we find the most prominent of them? In Egypt, of course. Let us consider them first. To get involved into the true meaning of the so-called Cheops pyramid, I have to refer to my book on Atlantis. These pyramids' cosmic connections are too elaborate to be discussed now here. But there is another old Egyptian relic in the south of that country, the rightfully named unfinished obelisk at Assam on the Nile. Here, I like to point out the following. There is a problem of which the Egyptologists are not even aware of. One can move this 1,200-ton block of solid rock by means of levitation only. Otherwise, it would crack into pieces. And this is a point where the orthodox science fails. Another example. Archaeology again is at a loss with reference to several questions when asked to explain the construction of a place in the South Seas known as Nanmadol, supposedly to represent the remains of a vanished landmass in the Pacific Ocean. Here, columns of basaltic rock are piled upon each other like in the mold of log cabins, forming a complex of 92 such buildings of different size and unknown age. Again, the only explanation of how to handle building material in the form of 5 to 45 ton pillars of solid basalt, numbering in the 100,000s, is levitation, as was always practiced in Tibet. Present-day refugees from Tibet can bring us, in a sort of vision, to a similar situation in the distant past, namely of peoples fleeing from a sinking landmass in the Pacific Ocean, one group escaping westward to reach what is now the once fertile Gobi Desert. They became the ancestors of the Uyghurs, who originally were of a European race. Second, another group proceeded further south into the Indian subcontinent, settling along the banks of the Indus River, where one of the settlements are the ruins, the today's ruins of Mohenjo-Daro. A third group of replaced persons from the Central Pacific, established itself on the Easter Island, about 4,000 kilometers west of the coast of Chile. What is now so surprising about all that? It is the fact that written glyphs or symbols or characters from both localities, Mohenjo-Daro on the one hand and Easter Island on the other hand, are identical. 160 symbols are identical, although being separated by 20,000 kilometers, what is half around the globe. What is the scientific explanation of this? Nothing. None. Scientists don't even talk about it. They don't talk about Easter Island and the age of the Moai statues. And they don't know about the Rongorongo glyph on Easter Island. And what is my explanation to solve the riddle? I mentioned already a drowned landmass in the Central Pacific, which I describe in my Atlantis treatise as the motherland, Rutas Mu, where from the glyphs originated. There are other enigmas completely not understood by the established sciences, like the clay figurines of Acámbaro in Mexico and the petroglyphs of Ica in Peru, both showing the coexistence of human beings and aliens. ETs? None. Down to the ground. Dinosaurs. With this we have arrived at paleontology and geology. Being a geologist myself, I have to explain the two most important questions. First, where did highly developed cultures like Atlantis, Lemuria and Rutas Mu exist? Second, when did such civilizations experience their climax and their final fall? The answers are found in my book, where I also discuss the concept of time, which is not understood at all by modern scientists. Finally, I want to summarize. There existed a primeval continent in geology named Pangaea, which broke up. A fragment of it drifted across the Indian Ocean and slammed into the continental crust of Central Asia, where it was subducted. This was the end of the once inhabitable continental slab of Lemuria, Lemuria adrift. In the Pacific Ocean existed a landmass formed by huge sheets of basaltic lava where the ancestors of the Polynesians lived. The so-called, in geology, called Darwin Rise. And this we have to understand like the huge volcanoes of Hawaii, of the big island of Hawaii, the Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, where these sheets of basaltic lava merge into each other, forming a landmass. At that time, the Darwin Rise of a tremendously bigger extent. Volcanic catastrophes at the end of the Cretaceous period put an end to this motherland of Rutas Mu. Now it remains to consider Atlantis. In the North Atlantic Ocean there was, what now is, the submerged Azores Plateau, the home of the famous Atlanteans. Its ultimate remnants vanished at the end of the last ice age, about 10 to 12,000 years ago, as described with reference to the last portion of the motherland of Atlantis, which drowned in one horrible night and during one awful day, as described by Platon, the Greek or Hellenic philosopher, and especially mentioned in the dialogue of Critias and Timaeus. To come to an end, how can we assume highly developed civilizations to have existed already during Mesozoic times, Lemuria and Rutasmu, and during tertiary times like Atlantis? The answer is simple and does not conform at all, with other words, is in contrast to the geosciences, to the orthodox geosciences. Now, listen. Each world event caused by an impact of a cosmic body initiated a total upheaval in the life on Earth. Impact! All parameters changed, including the time track. Mother Earth started to follow a new rhythm of life. Civilizations exist by geological consent, subject to change without notice. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about Atlantis and Lemuria and Rutasmu. I was trying to present all these, or the most important facts about these sunken and vanished cultures, highly developed cultures. Now it's time to summarize insofar as I'm not going to talk to you presently, but I'm going to show you my book. Here you find all and much more what I was trying to explain. And this book is published, like the German edition, by Weishaupt Publishing House. And presently it is only available via this publishing house of Weishaupt in Austria. But of course we are trying to find a co-publisher in the United States and so to go worldwide. So with this I show it to you. Here it is. Atlantis and Lemuria, legends and myths of vanished advanced civilizations of the past.